it's almost like the universe was giving me this chance. You have an opportunity to expand and to become something more and to create more abundance in your life. And then I was so afraid to walk through that door because at some level it meant I'm leaving my family behind and my past and what I know.
Natalia is a certified Peak Pilates Master Instructor turned life coach, breath healer, Reiki Master and Biohacker. She helps women heal themselves, awaken to their full power, and live a conscious lifestyle that is aligned with their soul. In this episode, we talk about how Natalia opened up from her body into her spirituality, discovered the amazing feeling of following her intuition, and how she healed herself as a woman. She has wonderful insights around honoring the feminine cycle. You're listening to Going Conscious, the podcast where we discover new ways to live a more conscious life of fulfillment and freedom. Each week, I speak with entrepreneurs, academics, and changemakers who have made big transformations, left unfulfilling lives behind, and found meaning in this new world where purpose drives success. Let's get inspired to live our unique journeys to the fullest. Let's explore the impact we want to make and deepen our understanding of ourselves, each other, and this beautiful world around us. Live your freedom. I'm your host, Nikki Trott. I'm happy to bring you this episode with Natalia. We know each other through her partner, who I've known for years and seen him go on his own amazing journey. I had a fascinating conversation with Natalia around the time I started connecting with my own feminine cycle and energy again, and I wanted to bring some of these insights to you. In this episode, we talk about shedding shame and conditioning, creating the space you need to develop your mission, the death and rebirth of the feminine cycle, connecting with your mentor, and developing your own self-practices. Now, let's go to our conversation. Natalia, good morning and welcome to Going Conscious.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Amazing. Me too. I'm really, really excited to speak to you. Natalia is a breath worker and she works specifically with women on helping them to remember who they really are and to heal themselves. So having spent 10 years as a Pilates teacher and then moved into coaching and now breath work, Natalia's been on a really interesting journey, and we've had some fascinating conversations recently around masculine and feminine and these different approaches to life that we can take. And they've resonated really deeply with me on my journey as well. So I'm really excited to dig deeper today and to bring this to our audience on Going Conscious. So perhaps we can start by you just giving us a little bit of background on your journey and what brought you to where you are today, where your focus is all around healing women.
Yes, of course. So before being a breath worker, I was a Pilates teacher and I've always been surrounded by women, really. So I was teaching for 10 years and sort of working with people on their physical body, helping them be strong and achieve the body that they really wanted. And, in this journey of teaching, I found myself helping people in other areas of their life. Like people will come to my classes and talk to me about their problems, specifically women. They will come to me and ask me, how can I lose weight or how can I do this or that? And I will be around a lot of women complaining about their bodies and, really noticing a lot of things that are wrong in the world and that are affecting women. So at that point, I was pursuing my career as a Pilates teacher trainer. So that was what I really wanted to do in the past. I wanted to kind of come towards the top of the Pilates ladder and just be a teacher for teachers. But then I became interested in psychology and coaching and just started reading some books about health coaching. So at that point, I moved from Spain, where I'm from, to London in England, where I am now. And I was just really following my intuition and I just Google online, what is a health coach? And I didn't even know what a health coach was, but it just really resonated with me. So I followed my intuition. I found this school called IPEC, and I went ahead and got my certification in life coaching. And that was about 4.5 years ago. And when I did this process, I started to walk my own spiritual path. Okay. So before this, I was really focused on, becoming a Pilates teacher and having a healthy body and helping people with their health. But then when I started doing coaching, it's like I awakened to the fact that I'm not just my body. So it opened this whole other kind of journey for me of, separation between mind, body, and spirit. And I just started to really see myself more close and understand who I really am. And this was a really tough period for me because it's like it was the first time that I started to witness my own conditioning. And I started to witness how my upbringing had conditioned my thoughts and the dreams that I was trying to achieve. So at this point, I met my partner, and he is also in this journey of awakening and spiritual growth and healing. So we went traveling for a few years, and we did a lot of work on ourselves. We did a lot of processes, a lot of courses on healing. We became Reiki healers, and just went to the Osho Center in Pune, did lots of meditation, and it was like a very interesting time. And at this point in my journey, because I was quite young and I was sort of living in London and following this London energy of go, 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 and build a career for yourself, and you have to be someone and you have to make money. That actually started causing an imbalance in my relationship because I was showing up with a very masculine energy, and my partner is also very masculine. So we were sort of clashing with each other and butting heads. And it was then when we both started doing some Tantra courses, and I personally started to explore masculine and feminine energy and, what it really means to be in a female body. And from there, I also did some plant medicine retreats, and I started to work with the plant spirits, and I just was deepening my connection with my body and with myself. And I started to receive these messages from the medicine plants that I should get off the pill. And it was all really strange because it was all very intuitive. And I just had this feeling that I needed to work with women and that I needed to figure out who I was as a woman. And that's kind of how things started to shift for me. I got interested in the menstrual cycle and researching feminine energy. And then I was inspired to target women in my practice. And I still run some workshops where men come. And I love working with men too. But I feel right now that my sort of goal or my mission is to really heal myself as a woman and heal all the shadow feminine in me and the divine feminine and help other women do this sort of work. And I'm just always open, to expanding my practice and welcoming men. But that's kind of a little bit about my journey and how I ended up where I am right now.
Wow, there's so many things I want to ask you based on that amazing introduction. But I will start with talking about your spiritual awakening, which you described. So it was really interesting for me to hear how you went from this real focus on health and fitness in the body to then when you moved from Pilates teaching into coaching, that you then discovered this spiritual awakening. And I kind of had the reverse experience, I think, where I had started on my spiritual awakening, but I didn't feel such a deep connection with my body until I got really into Pilates and actually did a Pilates teacher training course as well in Berlin. And then I started being able to really join the dots. So it's really interesting hearing how you started that process from the other side. But what did it feel like for you when you went into this spiritual awakening that started to happen and you realized that there was more to you than just your physical body?
Yeah, so for me, it felt like emptying myself, emptying myself of everything that I thought I was, and then seeing the potential of what could be. But also, I have to acknowledge that for me, it was all about healing a lot of pain from my childhood. And this is why, I didn't start my coaching practices straight away after I became a coach. And it was because I just found so much pain inside of me and so much confusion, right? That I needed to find other ways to remember who I really was and to heal. And at this point, I remember having a lot of shame. Like I used to think, oh, I'm feeling all these difficult emotions and I'm not able to sort of process them only through coaching. So it was almost like an invitation to go deeper into deeper layers of my being, into healing. And I guess whenever you have a spiritual awakening, it's really expansive, but it's also really sad because you have to let go, right, of what you thought it was the truth. Like I remember for me, for example, I pretty much was very connected with my parents and I was very much trying to prove my value to them through work and through being successful because I have a feeling that that's what society tells women that they need to do in order to have value, to achieve success through a career. So there was a lot of that for me happening, and then to wake up to the fact that that was all just a lot of conditioning coming from my upbringing. It was quite sad and quite difficult to let go of. So I definitely went through this period of some sort of death, of having to really let go, and which is also a very feminine thing, right? Like to die and to like surrender to your awakening.
And why is that a feminine thing to you?
I think it's because you have to trust. You have to trust in the unknown, and the feminine energy is all about relaxing, being open, being able to surrender, being able to receive, and there is a lot of that in the process of death. And I think the feminine to me is more of like the dark energy within us. And also the process of death is also something that sort of happens in the dark, right? In the darkness.
So you mentioned that your intuition guided you to move into coaching, to start Googling health coaching and start your own journey into that area. Was there kind of one moment or something that happened or a key influence that caused you to make that shift?
Yes, now that you're mentioning that point, I'm thinking at that time in my life, I had some space. So I remember that I had just finished university and I was studying my master's. And there was a period where I had like 4 months that I wasn't doing anything. Like I was moving from Spain to England and kind of settling in the UK. And I remember just having more space. And I believe that it was having that space would actually allow me to connect more with my intuition. And it was almost like my intuition just took over me and took over my body and sat me down in front of the computer. And it said, we're going to research this. I know that your mind doesn't understand where I'm taking you, but it's okay. Just trust how you're feeling. And that's kind of the process.
Wow, that's an amazing description. Your mind doesn't understand, but just trust the process and trust that it's okay.
Yes.
So what did it feel like when your intuition was guiding you like that? And how did you connect with your intuition?
So the way it made me feel was amazing. Almost like, when something really good happens in your life and you're just constantly questioning, how is this possible? How is this possible that my life is so amazing? That sort of feeling is the feeling that I get whenever I follow my intuition. And I think we often have a lot of resistance to follow our intuition because we're so afraid of how good life can be. We are just, so conditioned that life needs to be hard all the time and the suffering is the way. And, that we're not worthy of our dreams and all of that crap. So for me, whenever I'm feeling, oh my gosh, this is so good, life is so good, that's when I know I'm connected with my intuition. And the way that I connected with my intuition was by creating stillness and putting my attention around my solar plexus, around my stomach, around my abdominals. So that's sort of the area where I feel my intuition, and also I sort of like hear things in my head. So I will suddenly hear some messages come through that they don't feel like they're my mind. So they come with a different energy, and it will be something like sit down and research health coaching online, but it comes with this sort of energy of love behind it. It's not, the rational mind saying, "Oh, we need to go shopping now and get more yogurts and potatoes," and "Oh, you need to get your clothes to the dry cleaners." It's not that voice. It's a different voice. So I think you need to in order to connect with your intuition, you need to pay attention to the different voices that come through to you, and then, just pay attention to how they make you feel. And that voice that feels sort of grounded in your lower chakras and with a background of love, I feel like that's your intuition, or at least that's how I've experienced my intuition.
I love that. Hearing those different voices and practicing your awareness so that then you understand the voices that come with a background of love are the voices that come from your intuition.
Yeah, and now through the years, I've worked with my intuition in different ways. And a couple of years ago, I started going to spiritual development classes, and also through connecting with my menstrual cycle, and with my womb, I was able to open up my mediumship abilities and sort of connect with different forms of consciousness that are around me, and then my intuition became even stronger. And sometimes when those messages come through, like I literally like hear some voices, and sometimes I cannot tell whether it is a message coming from spirit or if it's just my mind or my intuition. Like, I think when you start really awakening this ability that you have, especially as a woman, this deep, deep wisdom, this deep, deep intuition, it's almost like you start working with the spirit and just allowing the spirit to move through you and to guide you. And that gives you a sense of support in life.
Beautiful. So you mentioned earlier in our conversation how you felt called to get off the pill, and now you've just mentioned this connection with your menstrual cycle, which helped you develop your own consciousness. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this topic. I've recently become obsessed with periods. And yeah, so I was on the pill. I was on the pill since I was 19. And I decided to come on the pill because I was a very sexual young woman, very, very open. And I was in a partnership at that time. And I just wanted to have convenient sex. I didn't want to get pregnant, and I didn't want to use condoms. So I just wanted, something convenient, and I didn't research at all. I just knew the pill was available, and I started taking it. And I took it maybe for like 4 years, I think. And it changed me, it made me feel more disconnected with my body. It made me less sexual, so my libido was lower. I was also retaining some water, and it made me feel disconnected from my emotions. I was sort of numb when I was on the pill. And when I was exploring plant medicine, which was 2.5 years ago, I went to my first retreat in Peru in the Temple of the Way of Light, which is a place that I totally recommend if you are wanting to explore ayahuasca. And when I was there, I just had, again, this deep intuitive message that said, stop it, stop the pill and stop stopping your cycle. This is not natural. This is not normal. You need to have a cycle. And there were a couple of really good facilitators in this center, and I brought them my concern, and I asked them, what do you think? And they said, this is really normal. When you do ayahuasca, the women start to really heal and start to really reconnect with their bodies and with their natural essence. And then they introduced me to natural tracking, so like menstrual tracking and just natural ways of contraception. And from then I decided to stop taking the pill, and I started tracking my cycle with the Natural Cycles app. And it was really interesting. I didn't do any research. about, how to recover my body after being on the pill, which I regret. And I'd recommend that if you decide to come off the pill now, you do some research and work with a functional medicine practitioner so that you can get your hormones back in track, because the pill really messes you up. And then because I know that the universe works in synchronicity with every decision that we make, right? As soon as I made that decision that I wanted to reconnect with my body and reconnect with my femininity and with my cycle, it's like the universe opened so many doors for me. And I met this business coach who works with the menstrual cycle as a system for creative manifestation. So as a system to sustainably have your business and create projects and create products and services, and to do it in a sustainable way. So the universe brought me to her, and her name is Letitia Ringe, and I'm really thankful for her. And and then I just started connecting with different resources. I read different books. I started to become more interested in working with my blood and getting into blood rituals, and using my blood for creative manifestation. And and I have to say, I'm still in that process of reconnecting with my cycle and honoring my cycle and honoring this part of me. And I have to say that since I've been on this journey, I just feel like being a woman is so magical. Is honestly one of the best things.
Wow. So after myself spending 10 years on the pill and then 7 years on the Marina coil, I have been reconnecting with my cycle just for 3 weeks. So I'm really at the beginning of that journey, and at 33 years old, about to discover my cycle pretty much for the first time. And I'm really interested to hear, how has your life changed then since you started to reconnect with your cycle?
Yeah, well, congratulations on your new journey of coming off the pill. And I'm honestly so excited for you. Like, I can't wait to hear, where this journey takes you 1 year from now. So definitely keep me posted.
I will.
Yeah. So my life has changed a lot. So since I came off the pill and reconnected with my cycle, it's like I started to reconnect with my power as well. Okay. Because, women, we have this beautiful gift, which is that we can bring life into this world. Obviously, we need the men, and we need that sacred union of men and women to create a baby. But the life is then created in the womb. The souls are coming through the portal of the womb into this beautiful world. And when we're not wanting to bring children into this world, we still have this capacity to create. And we have this capacity to have almost like a death and rebirth every cycle. So for me, when I started to reconnect with my cycle, I almost like reclaim my power, and I started owning my desires, and I started owning what I really wanted to do in my life. So that was when I started building my business as a life coach, that then evolved into a breathwork and life coaching practice. And it was the time when I decided to leave my Pilates career behind, even though that was what my family had planned for me. And it just allowed me to really step into who I am meant to be, rather than who I thought I should be based on my conditioning. Also, when I started to track my cycle, my sex life improved so much. My connection with my body improved so much, because I started to understand when I was ovulating, when I was about to menstruate, when I was fertile, when it was safe to have sex without protection, and when it was dangerous or there was a chance of pregnancy. And this really gave me a sense of inner power, a sense of inner knowing, and just trusting my body and not having to depend on anything outside of me to make decisions, which I think this is something a lot of women struggle with, right? Like, we're just waiting for everyone to tell us what to do, or like we're waiting for everyone to make decisions for us. So that was one thing that significantly changed. And then the fact that I was able to start manifesting things into my life in a sustainable way and also in my business, both creating different services that I've launched and like manifesting other things in my life that I wanted to bring through and just using the cycle as a system to do that. So yeah.
If you enjoy Going Conscious, please subscribe for a new episode every Wednesday. If you think your friends and networks would benefit from listening, please share this podcast of fulfillment and freedom with them. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review. It's great to read what you think, and your support makes a big difference. Together, let's grow our courage and tools to transform and live the lives we really want to. As well as creating Going Conscious, I work as a transformation coach and conscious brand consultant. I'm on a mission to help holistically maximize conscious entrepreneurs to drive positive changes for themselves, others, and the planet. I can help you to transition and level up personally, and I can help your brand grow and make a bigger impact. To connect with me and find out more about how we can work together, find me on Instagram @NikkiTrott or on my website, nikkitrott.com. Please get in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and let's talk about your path of growth and development. I'm interested also to hear in your journey, you mentioned how, your family had planned your Pilates career for you. That was their expectation. What was it like for you then to leave that behind, and how hard was it?
So that was hard because basically, we're constantly creating our reality, and we're constantly creating our experience. And based on, the things that we believe and the things that we're holding in our nervous system. And for a long time, I just held this idea that, okay, because 10 years ago, I started my Pilates journey, that's it for me, right? So even though I haven't been in a corporate environment, that sort of mentality is similar to the corporate mentality of like, oh, you just have to climb the ladder. You get a job and just climb the ladder until you get to the top of the ladder, right? So for me, it was sort of the same. Like I did all my initial levels, and then my intermediate levels, advanced levels. I went to many conferences. I taught many people, many classes, both in Spain and in England. And I went to retreats, and then finally I did my teacher training. But I cannot tell you how disappointed I was when I reached that point. I was just like, this is just not what I want to do. This is not who I am. And at the same time, I felt a lot of gratitude because it was a big part of my journey that, it was there for a reason, and it taught me so much as well. And one of the things that I see a lot of people struggle with and is when we realize that we want something more, but maybe that doesn't align with the level of success or the level of wealth or the level of expansion that our families can comprehend. And this is something that I've really struggled with because, I come from a really good family, really good people, really hardworking, sort of middle class, really, I had a really good upbringing. But then when I moved to London, I remember meeting my partner, and he was in a very different financial and also mind space. Like he was wealthier than me and also older than me, and he had big plans for his life. And because of me being with him, I had a lot of doors opening in my life, and it's almost like the universe was giving me this chance. Okay, you have an opportunity to expand and to become something more and to create more abundance in your life. And then I was so afraid to walk through that door because at some level it meant, I'm leaving my family behind and my past and what I know. So I think a lot of people can probably relate, when you're up leveling in any way, there's always that part of you that doesn't want to go forward because one, is scary, and two, it means leaving behind the part of you that you're just very comfortable with.
So how did you address your fears of walking through that door when you were going through this up-leveling process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for me, it was a lot about bringing a lot of awareness to my experience and doing a lot of mindset work, learning about mindset and about how we need to really work on our beliefs when we're trying to expand, but also doing a lot of release work through breath work and teaching my nervous system that it is safe to expand. Because you can do all the mindset and you can think, oh yeah, I want a better life. I want to earn more money and I want to have more love in my life. Or if you're a business owner, you want to have more success. And all of those desires are great. And you can really create a good mindset to support that. But if you're not supporting your nervous system, and your nervous system is reacting to the message of, oh my gosh, if you up level, if you move forward, if you expand, that's going to mean that you don't have a family, or that's going to mean that you have so much work that you're not going to be able to look after yourself, or, like all these fears. Like, in my opinion, you have to go through the body. You have to do some sort of somatic experience or breath work. And yeah, for me, it was a combination of breath work, plant medicine, mindset work, and meditation and connecting with spirit.
Do you have any specific tips for how we might be able to use breath work or meditation, for example, to help us get through those kinds of fears? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. So for me, I think you really have to go into the darkness. Okay. So I love to just write everything down, like the worst case scenario, whatever you're fearing, all the thoughts that are making you feel like scared or making you feel crap, and then go and do some breath work. Go and stay with yourself for about 10 to 15 minutes. Breathe into your belly. If you can do conscious connected breathing, better. But if not, if you don't have a facilitator or you don't know how to practice this sort of technique, just take some deep breaths into your belly. And what I want to encourage you to is to really go into your feelings, like feel the fear, feel the darkness, welcome it in, because this is a big part of life. Like, this darkness is there for a reason. So I like to really go into that. And then I like to, do that for a limited amount of time, let's say 15 minutes. And then I'm going to shift my energy and alchemize that fear by spending another 10 minutes doing something that shifts my energy into a higher vibration. So I love to do self-pleasure practices. I love to do dance. I love to do singing. I love to, do a combination of all those things and prayer. And I speak out loud and just put my hands in prayer position. And I'm like, thank you, God. Goddesses, divine angels, for this experience. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for allowing me to learn. And then I might do a little journaling about where I'm going and what I want and how I can choose some better beliefs that are going to support me into moving forward. But it's so important to hold yourself when you're experiencing that fear and to self-regulate, like allow your nervous system to come back to balance.
I love that. I absolutely agree. In facing the fear, we already shrink it so much. By allowing yourself to really welcome it, embrace it, and look at it, it starts to be something you can hold, something you can comprehend, and something you can then move. So that's a really beautiful way of describing how you can move through that. And also the impact of breath work brings us nicely on to a question I wanted to ask you, which is then why you chose breathwork. How did you come to breathwork being the next step for you on your path towards how you could heal women and other people?
Yeah, that's a really good story. Going back to my intuition and connection with these voices inside my head. So my partner has a lot of sleep problems. So he used to struggle to stay asleep all night, and his recovery used to be really bad. So he found Alan Dolan, who is the breath guru, and he booked a session with him here in London. And then when he came home, he said to me, this breath work is amazing. You need to go check it out. Like, I'm going to book you in for a session. This is amazing. And this was about the time that I was already thinking, oh my gosh, I can no longer stay in the Pilates industry. This doesn't resonate with me. So I was already like wanting to change careers, but I didn't really resonate with only the life coaching profession. So I was searching for like something more, but I was just open to see what was going to come through. And after I went for a session with Alan Dolan. I had an amazing session. It was just brutal. Like, I had so much release. And I just had this feeling like when I connected with him, and I just knew inside myself, this person is going to be my mentor. And I knew this before he even created his mentorship program. So I just had this feeling, and I just allowed that to be there and, in the background. And about a year after, he contacted me and he told me that he was starting his mentorship and that I would be a really good candidate. And he was asking me if I was interested. And at that point, I was really interested already in becoming a breath worker, but I had decided to go traveling for 3 months with my partner. So we just couldn't make the dates work. So I said to him, when you open your mentorship for next year, give me a shout and I'm definitely in. So I remember I just continued working on my self-practice. From the first moment that I started practicing breathwork, I created the self-practice and I just started with 15 minutes a day, every single day. And it was so good for me. And and then he opened his second mentorship group and I wanted to do it. So I remember asking my partner for financial support. So at this time I had already created my business and I had left my Pilates job. So I was still not making enough money through my business to pay for this course. So I just remember asking my partner, can you support me with this? Can you lend me some money? And then I ended up convincing him to have a chat with Alan on the phone. And I said, I think you would really enjoy doing this training. And he ended up coming to the training with me. And it was an amazing experience. We did so much healing and together. And it was really powerful. And that's how I became a breath worker and really, really did a lot of deep healing. And also, I think breathwork was one of the tools that helped me awaken in the fastest way, let's say.
Can you describe how breathwork helped you to awaken the fastest way?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. So when you practice breathwork, you are going into an altered state of consciousness. Okay, so it's like you're accessing this part of you that is not your mind, it's not your body, it's almost like your essence. And when you're practicing breathwork, all the illusions, all the veils are suddenly lifted. And in that place, that's where healing occurs. That's when the body starts healing itself. That's when trauma starts being released from your system. And it's almost like you are cleansing your energy field, you're cleansing yourself, and you are left with who you really are. So it's the fastest way, in my opinion, apart from plant medicine. But obviously plant medicine is still illegal in many places. So that's why I love breathwork, because you can just do it at home. And it's the fastest way to connect with this truth. And also breathwork is such a good thing to do when you are needing answers, because it helps you drop into the body straight away. And you can connect with your intuition really easily and get your answers. You just ask something before your breathwork practice and then you will receive the answer during the session, like 100% sure. So that's why I think it's just the fastest way to awaken. And it also works at the subconscious level, and it helps us become aware of a lot of subconscious thoughts that are limiting us, a lot of conditioned thoughts that are not even ours, that we've just downloaded from the collective, or we've downloaded from our parents or like our teachers. And it helps you see things so clearly that it's just easier to make that shift. You go in, you analyze, okay, what's going on? Oh yeah, this belief that I'm not good enough is here. And this is stopping me from, going after my dream or whatever. And then you're just in that place of essence where you can easily breathe your way out that belief and substitute that belief with like something new, like, oh, I'm so worthy of my desires. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of that. I must admit, a little bit skeptical before I tried breathwork for the first time. But from my very first experience, it was completely transformative. And the most deep experiences I've ever had in my life have always come through breathwork. And it's really, really helped me on my own journey too. So I couldn't recommend it more to anyone who hasn't tried it yet. And just going there with no expectations at all is the perfect way to step in, I think. But I want to ask you, Natalia, so how has personal success changed for you from what it might have looked like in your Pilates career to where you are today with breathwork and healing the feminine?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think personal success is change because in the past, I was trying to prove something. I was trying to achieve what I thought was success in my career in order to sort of fill this empty hole in my heart. I was trying to prove my value. Okay. And this is something that a lot of women experience because we are wounded in our feminine. And when the feminine is wounded, she feels unvalued. She feels unappreciated, unseen. So that's what I was feeling. I was feeling unseen and appreciated and valued deep down. So I've always been good at my job. When I was a teacher, I successful. All my classes were always full. I had private clients. People wanted to learn from me. They gave me great feedback, and like my ego was really full. Like was like, yes, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. Look at me. I'm doing it right. But my heart just felt quite empty. So now I guess personal success to me looks like having a more holistic, fulfilling life where I'm just nurturing all areas of my life. It looks to me like being aware, being conscious. That's what success means to me. Like the more conscious I can be of my experience and what I'm consciously creating, I guess that brings me a sense of success and achievement. And, I still have material goals, right? Like I have desire to grow my business and help as many people as possible. I want to, make money and buy myself a house. And, I still have all these material goals. But truly what my heart wants is just to spread these medicines, the medicine of the breath, the plant medicines, and to spread this awareness of what's really possible for us. And that's where I'm standing now.
And is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered around this shift you've gone through from masculine energy to feminine energy in your life?
Yeah, so I think I would just close with saying, like masculine and feminine energy, we both have both energies within us. So we have the yin and the yang. And for me, I was very much in my masculine before. So very focused on doing, very focused on achieving, very much in my head, in my logical mind. And in the beginning, when I started working with feminine energy, I floated onto the other side, maybe a little bit too much. So I went from one extreme to the other. And I was in this feminine awakening of like, connection with my body and flowing with life and receiving pleasure and allowing myself to be open and surrender. And for a while I was too much towards that end. And actually I had to bring myself back to the center and be able to dance between the masculine and the feminine, to be able to, create a structure for myself and, be driven and carry on with my goals, as well as open myself up to receiving abundance and pleasure and experiences and love and trusting and connecting with the spirit. And now that's the place where I am now, where I'm trying to combine both energies. And I have to add the working with my menstrual cycle is something that's really helped me integrate these two energies, because when you work with your cycle, you have 4 different phases, and 2 of them are more masculine and 2 of them are more feminine. So naturally, women go through these phases, and the key here is to dance with these energies, right? So when you are in your premenstrual phase or your menstrual phase, or if you're someone who's not experiencing a menstrual cycle, like you can work with the moon cycle, right? So when you are in the week prior to the new moon, in the new moon phase, like this is a more like feminine experience. You're more going inwards and connecting with your intuition, working with self-care. You are more receptive and more nurturing. And then when you are in your follicular phase and ovulation phase, you are more outward oriented. You are more in your masculine. You have more energy physically, mentally. You're more capable to hit your goals and hit your PBs at the gym. And I think working with this cyclical nature is just the best way to balance both energies.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So as we bring our conversation to a close, are there any books that you'd like to share that you're reading at the moment?
So I recommend the book Red Moon. It's about connecting with your menstrual cycle, but it's also about embodying the different energies of your cycle and the different archetypes, and how in each phase it's like you're a different person, and how the female energy, like the woman, it's here to experience it all and to dance through all these phases. So that was a really good book that I read and I recommend because it's quite mystical as well. So if you're spiritual, you're probably going to like that book. And I think I'll leave you with that one.
Thank you. It's on my list. I'm ordering it this week.
Nice.
So lastly, Natalia, where is the best place for our listeners to find you online?
So they can find me at Natalia olcoaching.com, or they can find me on Instagram at Breath Chica. And those are the 2 places where they can find me. And I often hang out on Instagram, on my Instagram stories. And if you want to know about the events that are coming up, women's circles and breathwork ceremonies and courses, that's where I do most of my marketing. And please reach out, let me know what you think about this conversation. And if you have any questions, I would love to connect.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today on Going Conscious.
Thank you, Nikki.
I hope you found this conversation with Natalia insightful and inspiring. I love how Natalia talks about her intuition having a background of love. This perspective makes it clear where your feelings or thoughts are coming from. I think about love and fear being the 2 polar opposites and find it very illuminating to use this as a test for what drives you. When you feel compelled to do something, are you coming from a place of fear or love? I think you'll find that the fear is driving you from your mind and the love comes from your gut or intuition. Natalia shares how challenging it was for her to break away from family expectations as she followed her path. This pressure we can feel from family, peers, friends, or society to conform to a well-trodden path or to their expectations can be crushing. But your true supporters will encourage you as your true self emerges, even if it can take some time for some of the people who know you best to adjust. The people who come with you on your journey are the ones who are meant to be there. When you challenge the status quo, people around you can feel forced to take a good look at their own status quo and their own situation, even if perhaps they don't feel ready to. So this can induce fear-driven feelings and reactions. So when you're making big changes, you sometimes need a bit more patience and understanding than usual. The fear of stepping up to the next level of abundance, which Natalia talks about too, is very real. I found that a fear of success is more common than you'd think with my coaching clients. Being ready for the next level means letting go of your current self, stepping out of that comfort, and stepping into the discomfort of where you want to go. So it might be an uncomfortable transition, but not as uncomfortable as staying stuck where you are. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe now. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star rating and short review. If you think people you know might benefit from listening to Going Conscious, please share it with them. I know I get much of my inspiration from podcasts which are shared with me. For all episodes, our library and more, visit goingconscious.com. Your support to spread this positive message of fulfillment and freedom means so much. As well as hosting Going Conscious, I help conscious entrepreneurs to transition and unleash their power and purpose with my transformation coaching and conscious brand consulting work. Discover more on Instagram at Nikki Trott or on my website, nikkitrott.com. I'd love to hear from you and to talk about your goals, questions, or how we can work together. And if I don't hear from you before then, see you next Wednesday on the next episode of Going Conscious. As always, live your freedom.